We start our show in Minneapolis where the Golden State Warriors, they went into the fourth quarter with a lead over the Minnesota Timberwolves. Remember, though, the Dubs, they came into last night only a game and a half ahead of the 11th place Rockets. All right, we're going to pick this one up here in the third quarter with the Warriors leading 60-57. Steph Curry uses the pick here, Brian.
Oh, don't go under that screen on Steph Curry. Holy Moses.
Knocks down the contested three. He's heating up from the outside. Warriors up 6. What did I say?
Again. They did it again. That's what happens when you drop. You have big men, but you drop on Curry. Trouble.
That's when Britney Spears would say, oops, he did it again. Curry, 22 points through three quarters. The Warriors lead 81-78 after 3. Curry would sit shortly after with 4:07 left to play in the third quarter here. And here come the Timberwolves. Nickeil Alexander-Walker hits that 3, ties the game. And then watch here. Chris Paul, a little ball pressure, a turnover here that the Timberwolves force, and all of a sudden the Wolves pull ahead in this one, Brian.
Yep, they went to the corner there. Mike Conley's, he's a smart man. And why is Steph on the bench?
Steph still on the bench, watching as his team falls farther and farther down. Remember when
Mike Conley again.
Steph
still on the
down,
bench.
Still on the bench. What do you think he's thinking right there?
Why am I not in the game?
Well, now he is, but perhaps it is too little too late. Steph Curry pulls up for 3 here. Can't quite get that one to go. Golden State gets another opportunity. Steph, yes, sir, that one's good. Tie game with 3:26 left here. Timberwolves up by 1. Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
That was good defense. What are you going to do?
Not much. Check that, Jaden McDaniels. Timberwolves up by 3 at this point. Steph Curry doing it all, putting the team on his back here in the final seconds. The Warriors down by 3. Klay Thompson elevates. Can't quite get that one to go. The Golden State Warriors fall to the Timberwolves 114-110. The Warriors, remember, they had a 5-point lead when Steph went to the bench for his extended rest. And we do mean extended because by the time he came back, the game, it really felt out of reach. Curry played 32 minutes on Sunday, which at first glance, it might seem like that's not that much, but it is in line with his season average. So here's Steve Kerr on Curry's minutes load after the game.
We can't expect to just ride Steph game after game after game. You know, these last few weeks have been really tough on him. We've put the burden of this franchise on his shoulders for 15 years. If you want to say that him playing 30 minutes instead of 32 was the difference in the win and the loss, I totally disagree with that. And we're trying to win the game. We're trying to keep him fresh.
Obviously, you're comparing it to last game and the normal rotation. Like, I want to play as many minutes as I'm fresh and able to. Play the whole fourth quarter and then against Indiana. It didn't work out. This didn't work out. So we got to find somewhere in the middle.
I think that's fair. Steph's been carrying this team for the last 15 years, but you keyed in on his minutes in the fourth quarter of this game, Brian, versus the last game that we saw him.
Yeah, they've clearly made an organizational decision after the All-Star break to reduce his minutes. He's been playing 32 minutes now for several weeks. And then on Friday, that changed a little bit. They played him the whole fourth quarter in a game against the Pacers, which they were ahead big and early and then lost the lead late. And it was 35 minutes. And so that was the most he's played in over a month. And so obviously they were trying to correct that, and I think they just kind of overcorrected.
Right.
And look, at the end of the day, they're playing in Minnesota. Minnesota is one of the best teams in the league. They're playing at home. The Warriors losing this game is not a stunner.
Right.
However, when you see Steph sit for that kind of a stretch in the time when the game is maybe being decided, and it's unusual, obviously it feels weird, and it certainly felt weird. You could tell Steph by just looking at his face on the bench. He wasn't used to that, and so now they got to figure something out for tomorrow night.
Steph is averaging his fewest minutes played in like the last 5 seasons. So we have seen this happen overall. And I do want to give the Minnesota Timberwolves credit. They played a great game. Their fourth quarter woes, which were a big problem for them pre-All-Star break, really they seem to have settled that a little bit. So it's not just that the Golden State Warriors lost this game. Minnesota came out and they took this game. There were questions of how they were going to play without Karl Anthony Towns. It seems like, at least for now, some of those questions have been answered. But Kendrick, when you're looking at the Warriors, are they going to need more from Steph, whether or not that is fair, in order to keep this dynasty and their play-in hopes afloat?
No, they're not. I mean, he's doing everything and more. And Malika, Wendy, look, you cannot drive a vehicle with just the rims, okay? You need the rims and the tire, right?
Sounds like he knows from experience.
I know.
Right now, the Golden State Warriors are asking Steph Curry to be the rim and the tire. and that's not fair. Now, he could be the tire, but where's his rim at? Who is going to be that guy to help him out on a consistent basis? When you have a team and you have veterans like CP3, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, like nobody can hold the fort down enough or be able to carry their weight on a consistent basis. Look, it's a lot of times that I do disagree with Steve Kerr, but on this point, he's right. And maybe the writing is on the wall. Maybe he actually said and said, you know what? We're not good enough to compete in the Western Conference. Why should I run our franchise guy, our heart and soul, Mr. Golden State himself, into the ground? Steve Kerr is right on this one. Somebody else got to help the help.
I will say, Malika, this does kind of fit into the actions over words characterization, because the Warriors may not say what they actually think about their chances this year. They may say that we think we can still win everything. But the fact that while they're in an all-out fight for play-in, not play-in, that they would elect to reduce Steph's minutes with an eye towards long-term kind of illustrates. And, you know, Perk and I have been going back and forth on this. I've been refusing to let go of the rope on the Warriors. That action is kind of speaking towards the way the Warriors are looking at it.
Right. Well, and to that point, both Draymond Green and Steph Curry, they were asked about the state of the Warriors after the game. Take a listen to this.
How much are you now kind of tracking the Rockets?
I don't give a damn about the Rockets.
The situation will define itself pretty clearly, and it is in kind of real time. So every game matters. You know, we're inching closer to the other end of the standings that we never thought we'd be in. Nobody's gonna wave the white flag and say, you know, you're mailing it in, and if that means playing more minutes, then I'll be ready to do that.
So the Warriors, they dropped their first game of an all-important 5-game road trip. You can see here, this could really end their hopes of moving up past 10th in the standings. But looking at the end of the road trip, they have one home game against the Mavs, and then they have that game against a team that is behind them in the standings, the Rockets. So Wendy alluded to this, Perk. There's a lot of basketball that's still left to be played here. But the Warriors, they are at risk of missing the play-in completely. So what would the ramifications be if they do?
I mean, I don't want to say nothing, but they actually would be in a great spot, to be honest with you. I mean, because at the end of the day, let's be honest, are the Warriors going anywhere? Absolutely not. That uphill battle that they have to fight to get out of the play-in tournament or to stay in the play-in tournament and then make the play-in tournament, get into the postseason, that's a tall task to ask. But what they can say is, you know what, we done seen some production from Jonathan Kuminga. We seen some production from Pajewski. Like, Steph looks still like prime Steph, so they have some decisions to make. But I wouldn't look at the Warriors season if they didn't make the play-in tournament or the postseason and say that it was a failure. Because in my eyes, is no other organization that has been through the adversity like the Golden State Warriors has been through this season at no level whatsoever. With the Draymond Green suspension, with the Klay Thompson contract, you know, negotiation not coming to a stance, all that stuff, the Golden State Warriors have fought through that type of adversity like no other team.
Well, let's just be honest about the Warriors situation. If you look at where they are relative to what they thought at the start of the season, Kevon Looney is out of the rotation. He's been a mainstay for them. He's no longer contributing. Andrew Wiggins having arguably the worst season of his career, maybe not even arguably, the worst season of his career. Klay Thompson has been demoted to the bench.
Right.
Chris Paul has been largely injured and made some impact, but not a major impact. Steph is having a good season, but he's not having a great season by his standards. He's borderline All-NBA at this point. I don't know if he'll make it or not. They've just gone down.
But didn't we got sucked in? We got sucked in for, you know, a month and a half after Draymond Green returned, after Wiggins got back and looked a little bit better, like they got healthy, and it said, oh, okay, maybe the Warriors are here. I don't think we would have had those same expectations.
I agree with you, but I think we got sucked in thinking that they could maybe get back into the first round of the playoffs.
Right.
We never thought, oh my gosh, they're back to 2022.
Absolutely, yes.
And I just think that when they get to the end of the season, they're just going to, they're not even going to have to make announcements that they're going to do. They're just going to say, look what happened.
Yeah.
And we're going to say, yeah, we know, we've been watching.
We'll sprinkle a little bit of good news in for Golden State Warriors fans. They do have the easiest remaining schedule in the Western Conference. The Houston Rockets, they own the tiebreaker over. So Houston would have to finish with a better record straight out than the Golden State Warriors. If they are tied, the Golden State Warriors have that tiebreaker. So Houston has to have a better record. They have won 6 straight without arguably their best player, Alperen Şengün, 8 straight games overall. They're 10-1 in the month of March. So I'm not saying that this is not a tall task for Golden State, but I still would give the edge to the Warriors. But that edge is shrinking every single day.
Wanna try to boast at what I look like. Put them down, try to wear, I pull up all brains. Jimmy with the heat, I'm on fire. It's NBA, I'm a ESPN.